Well, welcome back to Wisdom Rising. I am here with Lauren Sietzema as our guest for the show today, who is a psychic medium and a medical intuitive and teacher. And we share space at the Bozeman Spiritual Society. And so I wanted to have her come on. I haven't really heard your story as of yet. I know you're fairly new to town, and I have seen you as a medical intuitive for my own stuff. And I was like, I just want to know more about your story, what brings you to where you are today, what you offer. I want to know all of the things.
Okay, well, first of all, thank you so much for inviting me. It is such an honor. Christine, I had the honor of being at one of your red tent ceremonies, and it was incredible. And it was at that point, like, I knew like that was the space that I needed to be in. I'm like totally a person where it's like a beautiful balance between, soft and hard, boss lady, as well as we allow things to flow and creativity to happen within structure.
Right.
So I really resonated with that. So I'm like, yes, this is the community that I've been looking for. As you can tell, accent, I come from Australia. Some people say New Zealand or England. It doesn't really matter. It's fine. But coming to Bozeman, we were originally in Billings and we moved to Bozeman, and it felt like it was like the perfect space for my now husband. He was in Australia in the end of 2023, and we met of all things beach volleyball, because why not? It's Australia.
Absolutely love that.
How else do you meet? So we really hit it off, and it was beautiful and scary. Beautiful and scary because we had to do long distance. He had to come back here. I had to go back and forth and, disassemble life in Australia, reassemble life here, go through all those stresses of unknowns and not knowing how things were necessarily going to unfold, but also having to hold that, all the options that were coming at us at the same time. So it was beautiful and amazing and growing, and we ended up getting married, and because we decided, we took the plunge. We were in Billings for about a year for his work, and we traveled around. So I've been all around Montana, which is actually pretty amazing. Like, it's beautiful, and being able to see all of the nooks and crannies on the east and west side, and up to Whitefish and up to Canada.
Well,
So
congratulations on the marriage and that you're here and settled in. And I feel like I met you at one of our social potlucks, and you were looking for a spiritual community, and I was like, you have found the right space. Like, out of everywhere I've traveled in Montana, you're not going to find it quite like Bozeman.
No.
And we are so blessed that we have the community here, and you just dove right in. And I love that about you, that there's no hesitancy there. Like, you very clearly, you know who you are, you know what your passion is, you know what your gifts are, you know how to share them, and you just showed up fully. So yay for that.
I wouldn't do it if I wasn't doing it all in. Like, otherwise, it's all or nothing for me when it comes to anything in my life, really. I very much choose the choices that I make. And it leads into kind of the work that I do as well, like with other people. And I think, like, at that potluck, I was looking for one community, two like-minded people. And I think the thing that I noticed, like most when I first got here, because I wasn't in Bozeman to start with, was that separation. There was a lot of separation from each other and from self. So that's something that I think is more palpable here in the States versus Australia, even though it definitely is there as well. And there is separation between lots of different things. And for me, as somebody who sees things for what they are, for exactly what they are, I can't help but, be exactly what I am. And people can like it or lump it.
Yes.
So
yeah. So tell me a little bit about your path, your journey, what your share is. Like, I want to kind of dive into who Lauren is
and what I bring to the Bozeman Spiritual Society. So I think that for me and my journey, and it starts like from very young age, I have been practicing as a professional psychic medium for the last maybe 10, 11 years. And during that journey, it's been a huge mix of, working on my own psychological and emotional stuff. Because, like, when it comes to spiritual work, it is not just about the, that stuff, it's about this stuff. And being able to get that balance right. And so for me, it was like integrating all of the things that had happened in my life, making sense of it, getting peace with it, alchemizing that, integrating it. And then as I went on, because like for me, I had a chronic illness and there were not many options. It was fibromyalgia for anybody who suffers from an autoimmune disease.
Yeah.
It's one of those ambiguous, broad term diseases that doesn't have really a clear place, but it usually comes with trauma, or it usually comes from your nervous system.
And doesn't it kind of jump around?
Yeah.
Everyone I've worked with
Yeah.
that fibromyalgia, it's been like, it's in my shoulder, now it's in my stomach, now it's in my
nervous
knee. It's
system.
all
Everywhere,
over.
everywhere. And for me, like, it's been a mixture of, integrating like just like everybody of all shapes and sizes, genders, and people on the spectrum is a really important thing to me. So the queer community is very important to me, and just full acceptance. And I think the most important thing is that my external world needs to match my internal world. And I want other people to feel the same. And that's the work that I do, to recognize the parts of ourselves that are not being fully recognized, understood, or, accepted into, the whole. And I started to notice that with the medical intuitives coming in, I'm a person that really understands pain and the complex nuances of pain and the interplay of different emotions and feelings, and being able to articulate and express them and validate them for other people when they didn't know how to speak for themselves.
Yeah, let's talk about that a little bit, because I'm curious about pain, because so many are experiencing chronic pain.
Yeah.
And there's oftentimes this psychological piece to it.
Yeah.
And also, where do people get stuck in the cycle of pain or victimhood? And how do you break out of that? I'd love to know what your experience is personally and with your clientele. Like, what do you think about pain?
So for me, for about 25 years, I was experiencing pain to a certain extent. And for me, it was about a lot of pain that can be manifested, starts in our nervous system. And the nervous system is like the physical tree, let's say, that stretches out amongst the rest of our body. And the thoughts that we have send information to those parts of our body. And depending on what those thoughts are, your body's going to receive it and it will manifest it. So for people who fixate on certain pain or types of pain, or the energy of that, so an energy of lack could be no energy whatsoever in all the ways and forms in which you notice that you do not have energy within your body, within your money, within your relationships, right? No give or take, etc. And for me, as a practitioner, I was able to identify the thing that, usually like a belief system that they got on repeat in their head, which is like, a protection mechanism that the body does to stop us from dying. So I recognize those belief systems that were put there, not by themselves, but from something outside of themselves.
Yes.
And that's sort of leading towards, for me in my journey, what brought me to America specifically, and how that has led to me being able to integrate all parts of myself, to accept them as, there is no good or bad here. So if we think about the yin and yang, black can be good, black can be bad, white can be good, white can be bad. It depends on the context and what it is playing off, just like yin and yang.
Yeah, I find this conversation really interesting, and I feel like it's coming up more and more as, light workers have shifted away from healing language.
Yeah.
Because it's not necessarily about removing the pain or removing the brokenness. It's about integrating the whole space, the
Yeah.
whole self, accepting all of it.
All is good as long as it is.
Yeah.
As long as we recognize that's where we are and that's where we're at. And for me as a practitioner, what's really important for me to be able to read people is I know where I am. I know what my body feels like. I know what my pain feels like, what my particles feel like. So if anything drops in that's different, it's something else or somebody else. And I know that for sure. So yeah, like I help people piece together the parts of themselves that they think are broken and show them that it's all beautiful. It all has meaning and it's all on the same playing field.
Right. I think culturally we push away so much on pain.
Mm-hmm.
You know, our medical system is set up to
Yep.
say pain is bad,
Yes.
right? And so we're constantly programmed to do whatever you can to get rid of the pain. The pain is the bad thing.
Yes. And my partner was even mentioning this about like the ideology of America is to focus on the bad rather than identify where the good is and put our focus into that. And it's almost as if everybody is looking at each other and how are you different from me? And that creates separation. And in doing so, we are also separating from ourselves because there's parts of ourselves that we are also rejecting by doing that. So everybody is separate and nobody is whole.
Oh my gosh. Like, yeah, yes, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right. So recognizing when we can shift and pivot over to recognizing the areas that are going well.
Yes.
How does that reflect in your life with the actual pain? Do you notice that the suffering feels less?
So initially, it was worse. It got so worse. And for me, I have been preparing, and I think the most important thing that I convey with any single client is, are you willing to objectively and introspectively take ownership over what is yours? It may be 1%. And it's 99% them, but you cannot control anything external to you, nor should you. So you can only control you, how you feel, and where you shift. So when you are interacting with somebody, if they make you step away from yourself, you let them know and you identify it. You say that this is what I need, this is where I am. And either we step into the ring together and share space and create something more than the sum of our parts, which kind of like, you know, with these where you have two circles that interlock, the space in between, that is the addition that we can make when we merge with someone, you know. And the space in between is where you share common values, common understanding, common interests, but you're 100% yourself in that overlap, right?
Yes.
You don't step away from yourself. You don't merge with each other in order to become one another because you lose yourself. So this is where shadow work comes into it, or dark night of the soul, if people have, you know, understand that concept. It's where we're able to look at dark and light. Think the hermit going through, you know, his little cabin. He has that little piece of light. It's like, I'm not sure where I'm going. I don't know how this is going to turn out, but I know who I am, and I am using this to guide me on where I need to go. And you're able to see your shadow self, the victim, the one that's been hurt, the one that's holding on to everything, the belief systems that you deserve it, that you're going to die, all of those things.
Right.
And you hold its hand and you go, you be exactly what you are. And I'm going to be exactly what I am, dark, light, male, female, hard, soft, whatever you want to call it. It's all the same in the end. But it is two sides of the same coin of love. And on their own, they are unable to shift from where they are. But if they hold hands and they stay exactly as they are, they can cross the bridge or they make a hole.
It's interesting because I feel like also oftentimes in the spiritual communities, it's so much like you're going to do it on your own. This is
Mm-hmm.
completely a self
Mm-hmm.
journey.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like once again, like the culture of the spiritual community is pivoting and
Mm-hmm.
shifting and going,
Mm-hmm.
look at how you can recognize yourself
Mm-hmm.
within partnership with someone
Yes.
else
Yes.
and recognize where the overlap is
Mm-hmm.
and how you are mirroring each other
Yes.
and what where the shadows
Yeah.
are to
Mhm.
alchemize those
Yeah,
parts.
that's right. Because love and light, whatever you want to call it, the light aspect of ourselves cannot move from where it is if it sits where it is. It's in peace. It can only be what it is.
Mhm.
So, light on its own is just peace, but it is stagnant. It's stasis. It doesn't move. It doesn't create anything. It
Right.
doesn't manifest anything. What do you do with this light? It's just for you,
Yeah.
and you can't share it, right? So bring along fear, bring along shadow, bring it like it's down here, right? And then you interact together. And if you bring love to that, and fear trusts you, and you trust fear to trust you, it's a balance, right?
Mhm.
Suddenly you have created healing.
Right. It's kind of like finding those growth edges that you
Mm-hmm.
can't find on your own.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I remember after I got a divorce, I spent a year alone,
Yeah.
like intentionally, like, okay, I'm gonna, and then by the end of the year, I was like, all right, I'm healed.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm all good
I'm
until you're in a
done.
relationship.
And then shit hits the fan,
And then it
right?
brings up the stuff that you could not have created on your own because it's in the crossover that you create and manifest or co-create with somebody. The other thing, it's the, yin and yang, and then the third, the relationship,
Mhm.
the triad
Yeah.
that you create.
It's fascinating. And I
Yeah.
love this work
Yeah.
because, I think I've built a lot of my business and my classes around individual work.
Yeah.
And it can only go
So
so
far.
far,
Mm-hmm.
right? And now that I'm doing a little bit of tantra classes and intimacy work, it's like, oh yes, and notice. Oh yes, and notice when we come together, even
Yeah.
if you're not in a romantic
Mm-mm.
partnership, but you're
Just
still doing partnered work,
any
any
relationship.
relationship,
Yeah.
it's like that's where things get juicy.
Mm-hmm. It's where, because the thing is, I kind of see it as, so my partner and I do have like really clear crossover. We both like volleyball, we both enjoy D&D, we both enjoy board games, but there's certain, board games or video games that I don't really necessarily resonate with, right? But in the crossover, I am able to mix with him, and he is touching
Mhm.
what he is interested in. So suddenly, something that I would not have been interested in on my own, I am interested through going through to the path of least resistance to where it is, and it's easier to reach for because I'm sharing it with somebody else through their love and passion for it, and I find what is beautiful within that. That
Yeah.
still keeps me who I am. I'm not going to step out of myself to step into their box, but I am going to go, these are the aspects of what you're giving me that is 100% me. And that is where I will participate in that area,
Right. And I think that's where you have to first kind of know what your boundaries
Mm-hmm.
are,
You have to
right?
know where you are.
You have to know who you are,
Mm-hmm.
who you identify
Yep.
as, and have that clarity
Yeah.
of these are my passions, these are my interests, this is what lights me the fuck up.
Yep.
So that when you're rubbing up against someone else and
Yeah.
going, they're what it feels like dragging you
Mm-hmm.
along
Yeah.
to events and
Mm-hmm.
things, going, this isn't actually something I want to participate in.
Yeah.
This isn't what I want to
Mm-hmm.
do. And why am I doing it? Because I'm trying to fill
Mm-hmm.
their
Their
vision,
void.
the void.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
So the void and the abyss is something that has been brought up a lot, and it's something that comes. I didn't know this at the time, but like I think it's in Kabbalah within the Tree of Life, and yin and yang. I'm very into quantum
Mm-hmm.
physics myself, so matter and antimatter, but both are matter, both are not matter. So it's kind of
Mm-hmm.
one of those things where just because it's a zero doesn't mean it doesn't have a value. So, for me, I was faced with every single thing that was manifested in my life about who I am and the pain that came along with that, that I was holding in my nervous system. And I had a decision to make, like after going through all of that stress and particularly like medical trauma and people not believing me and, you know, me showing up as who I am and telling the truth and not being seen for what that is because people were just projecting their own stuff onto me rather than seeing me as a separate entity, right? So, and this is a common, you know, thing that happens to a lot of everybody, not just women. And for me, it's something that really hits home for me, that justice, that nobody deserves that, being able to be the voice, to be able to be the strength, etc. And I'd learned to savagely love myself. But this was the time where it's like, well, do you want to not just savagely love yourself, but would you like to integrate all the dark parts of you? And would you like to alchemize and not just be black and white, dark and light? Would you like to just be all?
Right.
Yeah, whole. And I had a surgery while I was over here, and it activated my nervous system to a million. And I can only describe the situation is it turned I was already at like, you know, 8 out of 10 pain every day. It turned it into what I can only describe as exquisite or divine pain,
Ooh.
where it was like I had to step out of my physical body and I no longer could see, hear, or talk. And it was like full looking into the abyss, seeing the aspect of myself that was holding all of that, you know, darkness as being mine, my fault. I'm the black dot on the white screen, right? Or I'm the white victim that is stuck with like all this darkness around me, drowning in it, you know? So I decided I'm going to allow you to exist exactly as you are because the other part of me had fought so hard for like, you know, its existence that it's like, it's okay. I got you. Trust me that I got you. I know that I can trust you to trust me. And that's all I need to do. I'm not going to step away from light side of me, I guess, the light aspect of me that was like, I am healthy. I do want to live. I want this so badly that I am going to do both. I'm going to fight for the both of us. Just trust me. And that's what I did. I told my guides or the powers that be, the void, the abyss, and I said, give it to me now. And it was like holding hands with myself and realizing that by totally trusting my entire being, I was able to transcend my physical body.
It has a lot of feelings of surrender in it, right? But it's not just surrender.
Yeah.
It's actually so much more than that because not only are you saying, I want to embrace all of who I am,
Be what I am.
be what I am, exactly as I am. There's nothing fixed, there's nothing broken.
There's nothing broken here. I just am. It just is. And just like being at peace with like being able to be with yourself and be at peace. And you know how I said about like two interactions that you yourself can actually create that with aspects of yourself. But being with a person and you coming together, you create the third thing.
Right.
Yeah.
So how does that look in your relationship?
So for me and my partner, it was really interesting because he he's very psychic himself. Like he's got so many of those aspects that I have, but he's coming from a place of, I guess, the void. It's like it's a representation of uh, society in general, not just in America, but the world. And it's like this blindness. And I'm going to say it's unawareness. He was just not aware of who he is and who everyone else is, and to be aware of when we're stepping outside of ourselves and doing things because it's what we've been told to do rather than what we want to do.
Right. It almost is as if this is the way the world is kind of waking up right now, is recognizing that maybe there isn't anything actually wrong with us.
Yeah.
And as we are bouncing up against other people's energy of their awareness of who they are, whether they're still kind of sleeping and not fully integrated yet, and projections and mirroring and all those things versus I know who I am. I know what my parts are. I'm trying to accept and love all of who I am.
Yeah.
And all of the pain and this, what I think that's kind of a projection in of itself, what suffering is, right?
It's integrate or separate. Those are your choices.
Yeah.
Integrate it or you can get out of here. Like I will not tolerate anyone who comes into my life, says that they're one thing, but energetically they're showing up in a different way. And I'm like, it's okay to be you. It's okay to want what you want. It's okay to want the relationship that you want. Any rule goes, and everyone gets to exist exactly as they are. Even if I don't agree, just don't stop me from being the exact thing I want to be either. So if somebody tries to pull me out of who I am to come be in their box or be in their circle or integrate with them, when I'm like, no, that's not who I am, you're making me step out of myself, that is separation and that is pain.
I love that. I think that's where we're waking up to, right? And so often we have these stories of people pleasing, these stories of like, I'm in fight or flight, my nervous system is dysregulated, I know how to fawn to make sure everyone else is happy.
Why are you doing that?
Exactly.
A little bit, take ownership over the stuff that you have control over. And I think the thing that it frustrates me a little bit, but not so much unless people give me crap about it. So if I bring it up and they give me resistance, I'm like, well, you came for me for help, so I'm going to push you a little harder. So if somebody says to me, this person's doing this and this person's doing that and this and that and whatever, and I'm like, I'm sorry, are we in control of it, the environment around us and the people? Are they in control of your actions? No, we're in control of ourselves and we get to decide who we are and whether what the behavior you're seeing is what you're willing to put up with. And if you decide that that's not what you want, if you don't shift, you are going to cause yourself emotional pain, which is going to translate into eventually tummy pain, which eventually turns into IBS, which eventually turns into all of these like escalating things. And this is not to, discount true things that are maladaptations in the body, and a broken leg is a broken leg. But it does make us aware of where we're walking.
Yes. Right. Right. And one of my favorite phrases is, I'm not available for that. Like it's this,
I don't have the energy for that today.
I'm just not available.
That doesn't work for me.
Right.
And
I think if people could just start saying like, I'm worthy to have my own boundaries.
Yeah. You get to be what you want to be, and I think, the frustration starts to be is like, and where people are like, why are they behaving like this? Why are they doing this? Why aren't they like me? And I'm like, what, like, so then go be with somebody who's like you and stop forcing yourself on someone who is not willing to integrate with you and to build something bigger than what they are and shift for you.
Right. And I think that's that growth factor.
Yeah. Or shift for themselves.
Right.
Probably a better thing, as in like they show up as them. You show up as you look at each other and you go, do I want to step into the ring with you? No, I don't want to. So I'm going to be very respectful and I'm going to step away from you rather than wasting both of our times.
Yeah. And letting it be okay.
Yeah.
Like I think there's
Yeah.
so much of a cultural like thing of like we have to be nice and accept
Mm-hmm.
everyone and
Mm-hmm.
play nice and there's a
Do
ton.
things we don't want to do for people pleasing or making other people feel better, but ultimately that hurts people. If you care
Yeah.
about them, if you're not showing up and telling them who you are, you're hurting them on some level because you're indicating that their behavior is okay and them showing up as them is okay. And underneath it, you're resenting it and you're going to deflect that because you've stepped away from yourself and you're projecting your own pain on them. And they are going to feel that you don't like them. And then they're going to feel that they don't like themselves.
Yeah. So how are you feeling these days?
I like now that we're kind of like fully settled
Mhm.
and we've got like passport and green card all sorted, it feels like the moment that I understood why I'm here, why this happened, that if I would have been fine by myself,
Yeah.
I would have been okay. I would have had a pretty happy life, but I would have been in stasis
Mm-hmm.
and I wouldn't have been able to reach further. And what I realized like my partner is for me is that he is like the hermit, somebody who didn't necessarily see the things that I can. And I am able to shine light on the things that need to be brought attention to. And he can decide whether he moves towards it or not. And he's the one that gets to like shift me. He gets to be that masculine, right? The direction. I get to decide like the overall like what's the meaning of all and to support create sacred space. But he gets to pick me up and take me there and look after my body while I'm channeling, like he takes care of home when I can soar to anywhere.
Yeah. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm really happy for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's amazing. And I think like the more I am me, the more he becomes himself and the like more amazing things we get to like create with each other.
I love that piece.
Oh,
Because I think that's where, true supportive romantic relationships, that's to me the optimal.
yeah.
You're bringing not only out the best in each other, but you're also
Bring
growing and stretching and
stuff that needs your attention. And it goes, do you like this still? Does this work for you still? Are you willing to face it and then integrate it and go beyond it to create the third thing that's bigger than the fear and the love together to create healing and growth? So, and that's true alchemy and that's what I'm all about. And I think for people who come to me, I mostly do like teaching other budding psychics or people who are wanting to be light workers themselves. It matters so much to me that it comes from such a genuine and ethical place. And I think that's the one thing that's missing in Australia as well as here. Like I'm running like a psychic school,
Yes.
like a structured way that really helps support people like myself who didn't really know what to do with the gifts that they had or what do you do, where do you start, what skill set. And for me, like I think I've gotten myself to a place where I can see from person to person because there is no one size fits all when it comes to your own development. And again, that's stepping outside of self. So for me, it's like, how can I help you integrate all of your parts so you truly know who you are? And once you know that, then the decisions of your direction just flows out of you. And that's what I do. Like, I want your external world to match the true version of your internal world so you can help transform other people.
Right. It's like your alignment helps replicate it for others.
Yes, for them to have a standing point to go, do I want to step away from this? Do I want to go towards this? do I want to block this?
Yeah.
And that's it. I just stay exactly where I am, holding high vibration, and you get to decide what you do with that. I will not make you do anything. It's all you. I just provide the sacred space.
Well, and I think this is such a really interesting conversation when it comes to psychic gifts specifically.
Mhm.
Like you can't waver in who you are
Mhm.
while you channel,
That's right.
right? And so the more one can come to a place of, I know who I am, there's clarity there,
Yes.
then it's so much easier to bring that channeled
It's
wisdom
neutral.
energy.
It's neutral. It's like the quickest way from point A to point B, a straight line.
Right, but when you have an
You know?
individual who's wavering and trying to
Mhm.
pick up their spiritual
That's
gift,
right.
it's kind of like coming in
Yeah. And when fear comes in as well, because like a lot of like new people who are like, oh, I can see people who have passed, but I'm scared. And I'm just like, hey, like
Yep.
there is no scary in this. It all is. So like where's this fear coming from? It's not externally. Who told you that? Where did that
Right.
come from? And that's what I get to. Like, where is
Yes.
the program that you picked up in this life that's keeping you from being happy, and how can you fix it? Type of thing.
Yeah, it was really interesting. Yesterday, I had a client, and it was a student who was doing private shamanic lessons with me, and we got on the topic of
Yeah.
ghosts and other entities and all these things. And she was like, at the end of her little lesson, she was like, "You seem really comfortable and confident.
Yeah.
Like, can other people learn how to do this?" I'm like, absolutely.
Yeah.
But you have to, it was that fear factor.
Right.
You know, like,
it's
I don't want
it's
to look
what's
in that.
projected onto us, the
Exactly.
bad aspects of it. Anything different is scary. And so instead of like facing that internally, we're gonna make it your fault.
Right. And I
Right?
think the more you go into that shadow work, the so much easier to look in the dark closet.
Yeah.
I mean, like physically opening a closet where you're like, there's some heavy negative energy in here.
Yeah.
It's no longer scary because
That's
you've
right.
already looked at your own.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, for me, it's just about people taking ownership over their own stuff that belongs to them and deciding whether they want to stay where they are
Yeah.
or do they want to shift, because it's who they want to be, not because someone's making them change, not because you're going to be forced to change or you think you should, but because you know that's closer, or you're recalibrating to who you are. And when people are in chaos, like it's
Yeah.
like all these crazy things are happening to me, I'm like, wonderful. That's great awareness that you're not where you're meant to be. Are you going to shift until it feels like you, when you move towards yourself and your boundaries and where, you know, your world is? And once you feel that, you don't even need to make decisions. You're just on it. You're there.
Right.
You're already connected with the version of yourself energetically, because like, you know, in the grand scheme of things, we are all energy in the end, and we're just lining up with the version of ourselves that already has the thing that we want. So why we may as well enjoy it emotionally now, and then the
Right.
physical stuff will catch up.
Well, it comes back to this sovereignty, free agency,
Yes.
autonomy,
Mm-hmm.
right? When we have those things
Yes.
and we are so solid in them,
Yeah.
then that's where the flow comes in.
I have the right to choose, and so do you, and that's okay. So
Right. I'm like, repeat that, right? Like it's when you have the freedom to choose, it's you need to recognize you have the freedom to choose.
That's
this
right.
is a choice.
Obviously there are exceptions, but for the most part, nobody's making you do anything. And once you realize that you have that power to feel however way you wish about any experience, you literally change your past and you start manifesting a different present and future.
Yeah.
Like it just transcends that completely. And suddenly you've just alchemized all these unhealed parts of yourself from your childhood. And you're like, oh my God, I'm literally not the same person that would have made those choices the year before. And you're like, why do I keep choosing the same person, etc.? It's like, because you weren't paying attention. You weren't paying. So we turned up the volume until it was uncomfortable enough because you said you didn't like it. Are you going to stay true to yourself? So spirit will turn that crap up, and they'll make it as uncomfortable as possible until you walk through fire to alchemize and burn off the stuff that isn't you.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. Absolutely. So what's your hot tip for people who are kind of become aware.
Mhm.
They want to do this work.
They want to either do it for themselves or in a professional sense.
I would say for themselves.
Okay.
Let's take that one on because I think there's a lot of people, a lot of our listeners have been in the spiritual realm. They might be practitioners already, but they're still struggling with their anxiety, with depression, with the weight of the world. They're empaths.
Yeah.
And to go, what is mine and what is someone else's? What's your hot tip?
Yeah, I think for the people who like identify as being an empath, I think it's important to not, again, no separation of self and not to put yourself above or below anyone else. So you are on equal footing. So in the same way that you should be, you know, forever forgiving and compassionate and loving and understanding and for everyone else in your life, you are equal to them, therefore you must do that for you as well. So when you're giving in that way, if at any point it makes you step away from being able to equally give that to yourself, then you're not doing it right. That is not light work. That is not the balance. So that's for the empaths. That is just martyr. That's just being a martyr. And not blaming your external world for the reason as to the way you feel. Decide how you want to feel and then move towards the things that feel the same. And that will bring you to like-minded people. And I find neurodivergencies a very, very good example of this. So generally people who are neurodivergent, these people who are on the spectrum, ADHD, autism, etc., they all find each other. You're all resonating at the same vibration. Your nervous systems are insane, and you're bringing in so much information. So I'm under the the assumption that anyone who's neurodivergent is automatically, you know, a psychic of some kind. You're just, you know, you're in both worlds. You're just operating in the non-physical and the physical. And I really care about the physical and the non-physical and how they are balanced. And I think that's where most people go wrong. They stay in the non-physical way too much, and they don't look after their physical body, which is, you know, the yin and the yang balance. And that is the part that I care about, the brain, the biology. These are not like, so spirituality and science and psychology, biology, philosophy are not mutually exclusive. They are all equal and all one thing. And it's just something that we don't really fully understand how they interrelate with one another because they are separated.
Yeah.
You know, and part of that is like integrating these like concepts. They've just got different names. We can call it quantum theory, metaphysics, Reiki, whatever you want to call it. It's just a different name that we've given it, but it's all the same energy, right?
Energy is energy is energy. I say it all the time.
Exactly. So for anybody who in Bozeman or anybody who is watching this right now, if it's something like I feel different and separated and judged for it, and I have no community, I'm the person for you. I will accept you if you show up exactly as you are and with like, you know, an open heart, open mind, and willing to do the work for yourself. Not for me. It's getting in there and going, I'm working hard and, you know, investing in myself to change. And those are my clients. Those are the people that I'm like, oh, I noticed I did this yesterday and I think it's because of this. So I'm going to do this. And I'm like, I didn't tell you to do that.
Right.
But you just witnessed me and you took it and you decided what you wanted to do. That's the person that is going to transform their lives and then have the possibility to like manifest and transform for others as well. And that's what gets me so excited is people are like, why am I doing this? And how can I be a better version of myself?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. So if someone wanted to work with you, how would they get a hold of you?
So I am working with the Bozeman Spiritual Society with the lovely Christine now, and we do lots of social gatherings. We do have one on the 29th, so not this Saturday, next Saturday. And I think we're going to have not just myself doing some demonstrations. It is a great opportunity for everyone to get to know me personally because I've only been here for a short while. The mentorship that I've been doing. So this includes like bespoke what are your goals for you personally in your intuitive development? What are the things that you want to get out of it? And I will intuitively channel the things that you need to hear to get you there. And it won't always be, you know, the same stuff for each person. And I will just give you a bunch of different modalities, and I'll give you as much information as possible. And you get to cherry pick the pieces where we overlap and it makes sense to you, right? So that is the person that I am. I am just like shining lights on the things, and you get to decide whether you like it. And I also bring other people together that make sense and have that overlap. So it's to find community, it's to find belonging, it is to find the whole within yourself, and to also find whole with other people. And by doing that, we create the third thing. And what is more beautiful than coming together and creating something with somebody? And I do workshops. And so I've got the psychic school and psychic tools, and that will be a couple of times a month at the Bozeman Spiritual Society. And this is where we go through all the different modalities. We do the meditation work. We do the foundational work of energy work, which funnily enough is we start from the ground up. We start with our bodies. We go into our emotions. We go up a little bit higher to our thoughts and feelings and programs and relationships. Then we go back further. We go to the beliefs, and then we go up. Once all that foundation is stable, that's where the ethical comes in, because you can go into like a meditation group, because meditation circles, I don't really like calling it that, because it's a circle, it's closed, it's separate, and it can blow your brain before you have built, you know, the foundation, you know, the linking circles that are attached to each other. You've created that, you know, learning. So when you reach for it, you have that fortitude to take like channeling or a meditation that kind of pushes you psychically and mentally, emotionally, physically. So you don't, you know, have to go to the doctor the next day because you've got pain in your back randomly. So for me, it matters that people are doing it safely. And this is like a practitioner that doesn't really have that much governance.
Well, and I think that's the same thing in the Reiki world. There's not a lot of governance. There's not a lot of governance in the shamanic world. And that was one of the first things I saw when I was reading your bio, is this emphasis on ethics. And, you know, I'm constantly also drawn to those who have ethical standards and can share about those and what they mean to them, because it's not talked about enough.
It's just all about like, oh, it's all about the positivity and the light and whatever, without actually considering that the person in front of you might actually be dealing with true scary problems. And when people come to psychics in particular, sometimes, you know, what I was talking about, not having a very good sense of self. And externalizing your decisions to a psychic and deciding that everything that they say is your decisions. That is a scary place to be when someone gives over their autonomy and their sovereignty to me. And I don't want another psychic to ever do that to anybody.
Oh my goodness. I think that I hear that so often. Well, I went to the psychic and she told me this, and so now it is my truth. And it's like, we
don't know everything. We're not, you know, omnipotent gods. We're amazing and we're goddesses, but we don't tell you what to do. We just exist, and you can decide what you do with that.
That's it. You get to feel into, is this an alignment for me? This
take what resonates and leave what doesn't, because you and I are not the same person. You are not, but we have a crossover, and that is where we are the same person.
Yes. I love that. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show, Wisdom Rising. And know that if you want to get a hold of Lauren, all of her contacts, the website, the information is all going to be in the show notes, so you'll be able to find it there. And it was so great to have you on.
Thank you so much. This was so much fun.
And
I think you're amazing, Christy.
Oh,
so like that, honestly, like as soon as I met you, I'm like, yes, yes, I am in the right place. This is where I'm meant to be. It all makes sense now.
Well, the feeling was mutual. I was like, this girl has got to be a part of Bozeman Spiritual Society because I like her vibe and she's solid. So lovely. Thanks everyone for listening. Thank you for taking the time out of your day. Be sure to like, follow, comment, share, all of the things. Subscribe. We really appreciate your support. Thanks, everyone.